Father Val at 40. A story of grace. The sun rising every morning is a testament of the beauty of God's creative design. Beyond the rising, setting, and falling of the sun are the millions of activities given by God and undertaken by men. One of such activities was the nativity of a young boy whose dexterity resounds even at 40 years of priestly service. It matters not how far the distance was, but how glorious it is. Such is the case of Father Val, a story of grace. The little boy Madoka was born on 20th October 1953 as the last child of the 8 gifts to Chief Gabriel Nwabude Okeke of Umudioka, Dunukofia, and Mrs. Catherine Nwadioba Okeke of Enugu. Madoka was an industrious and ever-committed boy whose yearning for living a fulfilled life was his goal and dream. He was a dreamer of dreams, and out of fabulous stories of his childhood age, Madoka fashioned a purpose-driven life. Madoka began his academic pursuits at St. Anthony's Catholic School, Ifitedunu, from 1959 to 1966. In 1967, Madoka moved in for his secondary education at the prestigious Christ the King College, Onitsha, that was interrupted by the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970. The Civil War brought so many ravages, which were so endemic to his stay at Christ the King College. However, just like Pandora, he was left with hope in the box. It was at this time that the little Valerian met Monsignor Emmanuel Ote, now late, as the Bishop Emeritus of Iseloku Diocese, who inspired, mentored, and encouraged him to the priestly vocation. Through this vivifying encounter, wrapped up by the Eucharistic blessings, Valerian Madoka entered the All Hallows Minor Seminary at the end of the Civil War, 1970 to 1973.
What I know and what I can remember about my classmate, Bishop Val, starting from the junior seminary to at least our priestly ministry. If I start with junior seminary, I will say, starting from our early days, granted that he did his class 1 at Christ the King College before coming to All Hallows Seminary. That is where we started meeting there. So, there in All Hallows Seminary, we were classmates also. And then in the senior seminary, we were also classmates till 1981 when we became priests. As we normally call him, Val, Val believes that cleanliness is next to the godliness. And then that time you look at Val, you see everything about him sparkling clean. Actually, everybody will want to be like him. We ourselves, even we who are his classmates, we admire him. He dresses well, keeps his shorts and his trousers so neat, so that people were really, he's really edifying people with how he dresses. Where he dresses simply, in a simple fashion, in a simple simple way. He's always proportionate in whatever he's doing. During that time, we were in the junior seminary and also in the senior seminary. He is always punctual to spiritual exercises and also other common exercises we seminarians do in the seminary. Val himself, as we call him, devotes himself to both private and personal prayer. He's a real man of prayer. At that time, we watch him. He's there at times 30 minutes. He will go in the chapel before the mass and do the stations of cross as some other junior seminarians do, other seminarians do. And then later, he will go into the chapel sometimes when he has the time to do his own private devotion. Many of us observe him doing this. He has worked hard on himself during the philosophical and theological studies there in Bigad to be an intelligent young man. He works hard to see that he puts out everything so intelligently. In his relationship with the other seminarians, it was wonderful. Val is almost a friend to everybody because of his openness. He's very open. And as a person that is open, you see the truth coming out from him. So everybody would like to come near him to get or to share in his witness. Because for somebody who is telling you the truth and always speaking, and you know actually his mind, he is always sweet. So when people actually need help, even in the seminary, he also helps people. He is generous. The much he could, just simply give to the person who would want him to help him. Well, not much, but at the same time to show that this is what I have and this is what I can give.
Father Val completed his secondary education and backed that with an excellent result, 1974. At the end of his secondary education, he was sent on apostolic work at the St. Paul's Minor Seminary, Umunuko, Upo, as a teacher prefect from 1974 to 1975. Madoka's apostolic work experience was mind-blowing, and it opened him up to vistas of the priestly call. After his prefecting, he gained admission into Bigad Memorial Seminary, Enugu, for his philosophical studies from 1975 to 1977 and bagged out with a degree in philosophy. He immediately commenced his theological studies in Bigad Memorial Seminary from 1977 to 1981, where he bagged a bachelor's certificate in theology. Father Val was ordained a Catholic priest on 11th July 1981 by His Grace, the Most Reverend Francis Arinze, now Francis Cardinal Arinze, the then Archbishop of Onitsha.
You are a priest forever, a priest until Melchizedek. You are a priest forever, a priest until Melchizedek.
Father Val was the seventh priest ordained from Umudioka community. He began his first pastoral assignment at the Holy Trinity Cathedral, Onitsha, now Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity, as a curate, once again under Monsignor Emmanuel Ote, the cathedral administrator.
After his ordination, he was sent to Holy Trinity Cathedral, now baptized Basilica of the Most Holy Trinity. He was sent here as a curate, as it was then called. Now it is called vicar. He was with Monsignor, the then Monsignor Ote, Emmanuel Ote, later Bishop Emmanuel Ote, of late memory, of blessed memory. He had a very attractive personality, which most people noticed and liked him for that. But that did not make him lose his head. He was very focused on his priestly duties when he was here.
I would like to say few personal convictions I have about this man of God, Archbishop Valerian Okeke. I will tell you that when he was at the Basilica Parish here after his priestly ordination in the year 1981, you can describe his priestly ministry with one word, and that word is self-contentment. You see somebody who was happy, who was fulfilled, who was contented. And to be honest with you, it was this happiness that attracted a lot of young people who were following him then. I was a young man server here, and he was instrumental to my taking decision to go into the seminary, because I wanted to enjoy his type of happiness, his type of contentment. Over and above being contented, he was known for his personal cleanliness and neatness. He was always very neat. He was dressing very smartly as a very young priest then, and he was so attractive that his happiness was contagious. And he never discriminated against the poor and against the rich. He was very social. He was relating with everybody on the same pedestal, and everybody loved him, both the young and the old. And he really had a great influence in the life of many of us.
I've known him for more than 30 years, precisely in 1982. He was not yet up to 1 year a priest when I met with him. As a priest, he operates open door policy, that whenever you want to see him, you can approach him, whether he's strolling around or in his room. If you come for confession anytime, what he will ask you immediately, are you ready? Before you tell him that you are ready, he has started blessing you and be ready to hear your confession. It is a delight to interact with him. And after interacting with him, you will like a repeat to meet him again. He is good-hearted as a priest and devoted to his duty as a pastor. Both his relationship with elders and children has no demarcation. So much so that children were saying that I will be Father Val. You cannot say anymore, saying I am Father Val. And so many young boys here that time joined the seminary.
In 1983, Father Val was made the parish priest of Our Lady of Seven Sorrows, Umoji, considering his maturity and commitment to duty at the cathedral.
And later, he was made the parish priest of Our Lady of Seven Sorrows, comprising of the present Umuoji parishes as of now. I had the occasion to visit him there in the mid-80s when he lost one of his brothers. I went there to console him personally because of what the type of person I had known him before as a junior seminarian. When I was leaving the parish, his parish, the parishioners I noticed had a very, very long esteem for him because of the way he carried the affairs of the parish. He was cool-headed. His perception was high and judgment accepted universally.
The stories of the present parishes in Umuoji community cannot be complete without traces to his pastoral stripes. The assiduous priest Father Val left Umuoji for his further studies in Rome at Alphosianum, an academy of the Lateran University, where he studied moral theology. Father Val also majored in philosophy from the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas. His academic doggedness was crowned with a PhD in moral theology and a completed program in philosophy. To square up these academic achievements, Father Val earned a diploma in French language from the Catholic Institute of Paris in France, a diploma in German language from the German Center for Language and Culture in Germany, a diploma in Italian language from Perugia in Italy, and a diploma in journalism from London. On his return in 1991, Father Val was sent by his Archbishop in collaboration with the initial provincial bishops to begin Memorial Seminary as a senior lecturer to teach moral theology and ethics. As a lecturer, he not only taught but facilitated a proper appreciation of human value, human capital development, and dignity of the human person. He was a firm believer in the worth of the human person, which gave the seminarians the strong will of believing in themselves and in the power of their accomplishments and dreams. The seminarians loved him a lot. Because of his great strides in the teaching profession, Father Val was elevated as the rector of Bigad Memorial Seminary, Enugu, in the year 1996.
Then, as my teacher and my rector in the seminary, Bigad Memorial Seminary, I will say a few things about my impression about him. Father Val was never a lecturer. He was a teacher. Because the difference between a teacher and a lecturer is that a lecturer comes to the class, delivers what he has prepared, and then goes. But a teacher teaches by the example of his life. A teacher understands the students, each and every one of them, and he relates to each student at his own level. He understood each student and their potentialities, and that made every student to fall in love with him. You know, he always prepared his lectures so well, and he was delivering his lectures in such a natural way that everybody fell in love with his course. moral theology. In fact, many of us wanted to study moral theology when we were sent for further studies. However, it is God who decided what we will study. But if we were given the opportunity, many of the young priests who went through him as the teacher and the rector would have loved to study moral theology. But there is something very important which we noticed about him when he became the rector. When he became the rector, he was a father figure to all the seminarians, such that every seminarian was making effort to be a little Valerian, a young Valerian. And I think he succeeded in producing so many Valerians in a lot of young priests today. There is another significant quality which we observed in him as the rector. He loved a beautiful environment. In fact, he believed that the beauty inside should reflect in your surroundings. And that was why whenever we went for holidays when he was our rector, by the time we came back from the holidays, he had painted the whole hostels, he had cut the grasses in the school, everywhere was clean, everywhere was neat, and everybody enjoyed that. He made a lot of changes. It may interest you to know that it was when he was the rector that the FIFA standard field was built at Bigad in partnership with the government.
I must say that I am